Hello everyone, I'm back. So as most of you know, I took another hiatus from IG for about 3 to 4 weeks on top of being shadow banned for the stuff I was posting regarding the vid and the jab. So we'll see how many people this video actually reaches. Also, just a disclaimer, I'm trying to avoid censorship, so bear with me regarding these terms that I'm using. But while I was on that break, me and my entire family actually came down with the vid. I know, right? Whoa, crazy. So I wanted to come on here and share experience along with giving you all hope that it doesn't have to be doom and gloom if you guys end up coming down with the vid as well. So this whole experience has taught us that education and early treatment is truly key. Also, another disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. I'm simply sharing our experience with you all. So let's start off with how we got the vid. It was actually at a wedding, and it was a 500-person wedding. I know, crazy during these times, right? But what's also crazier is that most of the attendees were actually jabbed, in particular because a lot of them came from countries like Israel, which I mentioned before is a fully jabbed country. So were we worried about catching the vid prior to us going? We did think about it, and honestly, we thought we caught the vid back in late 2020 while I was pregnant, so we figured we'd be okay on top of all the preventative care that we do on a regular basis and the extra immune boosters that we took prior to going to the event itself. So we trusted that if we were to get sick, considering that we were already low risk, or that we are already low risk as it is, we'd ultimately be fine, despite being unjabbed ourselves. And honestly, I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity of one of my bestest friends getting married, and to be honest, it was a chance for normalcy. And it was truly beautiful how normal it all felt when we were there, and yeah, it was a great night. It was actually the first night G and I had with just the two of us post-baby, so we're excited to go out, get all fancy, and celebrate and dance with our friends. So yeah, we ended up catching the vid there, and interestingly enough, a few guests reached out to the bride after the wedding saying they tested positive too, and they were jabbed. So yeah, timeline of our symptoms. So we went to the wedding on a Saturday, and we started getting symptoms that following Tuesday. It started with a cough, and most people say it begins with a fever. And we actually didn't get our fever until day 2. And day 2 was definitely the worst when it came to the vid itself. We had fever, we had chills, I started getting a headache, coughing as well, but it was also mucousy and not dry like they usually say it'll be. So we got a fever day 2, and Kai didn't get a fever until day 4. I haven't used any over-the-counter meds in years, so medication like acetaminophen wasn't used to bring our fevers down. And I'm actually reading a book, and I don't want to say the name of it in risk of being censored, but it basically talks about other jabs, childhood illnesses, and autoimmune disorders. And it's written by Dr. Thomas Cohen. Dr. Cohen also explains how Western civilization has conditioned us to fear fevers and mucus, when in reality, it's your body's first line of defense, which also shows that it's working. So for an antigen to survive, it needs to have stable conditions, and the fever disrupts that stability. So regardless of getting our fevers, and I actually didn't go past 99, G got up to 101 and 102 around there, and so did Kai. We didn't use any medication to reduce it, but instead we continued to rest, drink lots of liquids and soups, take our supplements, and we nurtured our bodies to help it heal. So that was day 2 for G and I, which was the worst day of COVID, or vid, the vid, as I said, due to the fevers, the chills, the body aches. But on day 3, I ended up coming down with clogged milk ducts. And I honestly don't know if it was from the vid or if it was from the fact I used a strapless underwire bra for that weekend for the wedding. And it is said that underwires can actually cause blocked ducts or mastitis at the worst. But it was super painful, and on top of that, my supply took a huge dip. I did read that milk supply can be affected by getting sick as well, especially if you're fatigued. So yeah, this freaked me out a bit because breast milk contains the antibodies to keep the baby healthy. So I took some garlic supplements, which is also an immune booster, and drank some herbal tea that targeted the clogged ducts to help it release. So by day 8, I was pretty much back to normal, and so was my supply. Day 4, that's when Kai really started showing symptoms of the vid. He started coughing on day 3, but he usually coughs because of too much drool or spit, so I wasn't too concerned about it. But day 4 was when his fever began. And prior to this incident, Kai has never been sick before. Like, yeah, he had a sniffle and he has fussiness because of teething, but he never actually got sick. So yes, I was definitely nervous about how I would be able to handle his first fever, but he actually didn't get past 102, and I monitored his temperament to make sure he was okay. And besides being extra sleepy and wanting to nurse all day, he wasn't necessarily fussy, just more lethargic. At least not on his first night of the fever. The second and third night was a little rough for him, but lots of cuddles and boobies helped. I made sure he stayed extra hydrated. So on top of the consistent nursing that we were doing, when he would eat, which wasn't much because he was sick and wasn't hungry, I'd mix in coconut water with his food just so he can get his electrolytes up. Day 4, it was also when G officially lost his taste and smell, which was interesting because I didn't lose mine. I was a little congested around this time, but I could still pretty much smell and I could definitely taste everything. And with Kai, we tested him by giving him broccoli, which he absolutely hates. And sure enough, he wrinkled his nose and then gagged when we tried to feed him. So needless to say, he was fine. Day 5, I started feeling pretty much normal at this point. My headache was basically gone. I was barely coughing, and if I was coughing, it was to get mucus out. And my temp was pretty much back to normal. G ran a low-grade fever for a couple of days, but other than his taste and smell being gone, he was pretty much normal too. And so we basically spent the rest of the time taking care of Kai. So, elderberry and echinacea helped him a ton. And we did the rest of our regimen, or I can show you the rest of the regimen that we used to get better, along with Kai's stuff too. So let's look at the immune boosters first. So black elderberry and oil of oregano, we take this all the time, whether we feel like a cold or a sniffle is coming on, this is like our first line of defense. It's black elderberry and oil of oregano. So sure enough, once I started coughing, I loaded us up with this. And what we did was we took 2 capsules of black elderberry in the morning and then 2 capsules in the evening, as well as 1 capsule of oil of oregano in the morning and in the evening as well. And we would usually pair it with Umka. So Umka was actually introduced to me by my best friend. She introduced Umka to me a few years ago, and I would also use this at the first sign of a cold coming on or a little bug or tickle in my throat. It's really cool because it reduces the duration of the cold itself or the flu itself, which is super interesting. And it actually is used in place of antibiotics to counter bronchitis. So super powerful on the lungs. So we would take this 3 times a day, and we would do echinacea 3 times a day as well. So that helped a lot. So immune boosters for baby, since we're on the line of that, I would give him, I think, 2.5 milliliters of baby elderberry drops. And it's cool because the baby elderberry drops also include vitamins such as vitamin C and D, probiotics, zinc, and organic echinacea. So I gave this to him as well as Echinacea Supreme. And Dr. Sears talks about echinacea being really great for kids and helping their immune systems as well. And he actually recommends using like the regular dose of echinacea 3 times a day when they are fighting something. However, I just did a regular dose in conjunction with this, and I did this once a day with Kai. And I did it throughout the duration of his cold and even after, just to make sure his immune system was fine. All right, let's look at other supplements. So the other supplements that I think helped a ton was NAC and zinc. I feel like NAC is the holy grail of the vid right now, to be honest with you. And it's interesting because NAC was over the counter up until the middle of 2020. And then for whatever reason, the FDA decided to ban it and make it available only via prescription. So technically, you can only get this from a doctor, but for whatever reason, Pure Encapsulation still sells NAC. So yeah, I would highly recommend you getting some prior to, going to the doctor or asking a doctor for it, because very easily accessible. And then of course, zinc. Zinc 15 milligrams. We did this twice a day. What else did we do? Adaptogens. So adaptogens, I have been talking about adaptogens a lot, but ashwagandha, we did that daily, as well as reishi, which we did twice a day in the morning and the evening, and turmeric, which we did once a day as well. And other supplements. So I took liposomal vitamin C, and it's 1,500 milligrams. I was actually the only one who took this because studies have shown that there's 2% of men who can be affected by high doses of vitamin C in terms of kidney stones. So my husband was actually one of those 2% people who gets kidney stones from vitamin C. So sure enough, he didn't take it. I was the one that took it. And for whatever reason, it doesn't really affect women the same way. I guess it's the way our body metabolizes calcium. So yeah, I did this once a day, and I also did probiotics. We don't want to ever forget about the powerful use of probiotics. They boost our immune system, and it works from the gut out, and I honestly feel like the gut is the root of our health. So can't forget to take your probiotics. I take these daily. I didn't do anything special in terms of my supplement. I just continued using this, as well as drinking things like kombucha and trying to eat sauerkraut or kefir when I did feel like I needed some nourishment. What else? I feel like that's pretty much it. Oh, vitamin D. Can't forget vitamin D. Also the holy grail of the vid. So we usually take 5,000 IUs a day, but once I started feeling like we were possibly coming down with the vid, I would say like right when we started to cough, that's when I upped our dose to 10,000. And then once we were full-blown sick, that's when I upped it to 25,000. And the interesting thing about vitamin D, it's really, really hard to actually overdose on vitamin D. You're more likely to be underdosed or not have enough vitamin D rather than overdose on it. And of course, if you go out in the sun, there's no such thing as overdosing as vitamin D. So yeah, we upped it to 30,000 or 25,000 while we were sick, and I think it helped a ton. And that's also the reason why this and the NAC especially kept our vid symptoms really, really mild. And then of course, we take immunity shots daily. I think this helped. It helps with preventative care, and it helped while we were sick as well. It's Suja, and you can actually get this at Costco. At least we found it at our Costco. We stock up on it every time we go. But yeah, so that's the supplements that we used. And yeah, I mean, doctors and research are showing that the key to keeping COVID mild or the vid mild is early treatment. And this is truly key. And shame on the doctors who tell patients to call them once their symptoms worsen or they can't breathe, because by then it's literally too late. More and more doctors are saying how people shouldn't end up in the hospital, providing that they're low risk and that they treat it early. And this is exactly what we did. And now that we are healed, we're stoked that we have the antibodies and that the vid itself was very, very mild. And research is also showing that those who have had the vid and have gained natural immunity actually have antibodies that last 3 times longer than those who just get the jab and have not experienced the vid at all. And this is from Yale, a study from Yale. And they also show that the jab wears off in 6 months, whereas natural immunity doesn't seem to start fading until 17 months. So those who have natural immunity are actually better equipped to fight off the variations because their body has already went through the process of fighting and recognizing the virus. It's nature. And aren't the antibodies the whole reason why we are being coerced into getting the jab in the first place? Another argument for the jab that I hear often is that people feel like they have to get it so they don't end up in the hospital, or that they want to avoid long-term COVID. Okay, so first off, if you are already low risk, ending up in the hospital does not have to be your reality. And second, let's think logically about this. If you are asymptomatic or even mild with the vid, how can you possibly have any long-term effects? You can't. It absolutely makes no sense to mandate the jab with every single person, especially if you are low risk and or you have already gotten the vid and recovered. So it begs the question, is this jab truly necessary? And if it really is about health, then why aren't they stressing the importance of early treatment and preventative care? Newsflash, because there is no money in sick people. And it's sad, but it really is what it is. So my dear friends, if you were to come down with the vid, which realistically at some point you probably will, considering it isn't going anywhere and it's even categorized as the flu in certain parts of the world, unless that is you want to continue living isolated, fearful, and in a bubble with booster jabs for life, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. You can fight it if you choose to, providing you educate and prepare your mind, body, and spirit ahead of time. Our bodies are so miraculous. Like, they're made with these amazing immune systems that can keep us healthy and safe, providing we nurture it with the right stuff. This means that we have to do the work. So this means the right food, sunshine, exercise, herbs, adaptogens, vitamins, even the media and content we consume. All of this makes all the difference. The saying your body is a temple, it's not an exaggeration. This is exactly why I'm making these videos and sharing these stories and sharing these articles, because knowledge is truly powerful. So choose to stop the fear, stop the hate, the segregation, the ignorance, and take charge of your health, because no one else, and especially not the government, will do it for you. So yes, that is all that I have for you, and that's our story. I hope this served you, and feel free to share this with a friend or someone that this could help. I will be posting this to YouTube as well, providing I don't get censored. So if they're not on IG, you can send them to YouTube, and I will link that as well. So please take care of yourself, and remember that we have the right and the power to choose what kind of life we want to live. Thank you for watching. Namaste.